I don't bother with a faceplate or a screw chuck or anything like that. What I'll do is I'll take my blank, and in this particular case it's a 1 3/8 hole Forstner bit that I'll just drill into the front of the blank, and just use these jaws in expansion mode. This is a Vic Mark chuck with long nose jaws. Every brand of chuck has a set of long nose jaws, and every brand of chuck has a set of small jaws. Okay. If you have Nova chucks, look at the jaws that are available for the Sorby chuck, because they fit, and the Sorby jaws have a couple of really nice small little ones to do this kind of thing with. Okay, and they're 100% back and forth. Okay. So what I'll do is I'll drill that hole with a Forstner bit, put my piece on in expansion mode on these jaws, and turn the outside of my vessel. Okay. So I'm going to ask you to use your imagination and pretend that we've done that. Okay. Now, one of the things we've talked about on and off over the last couple of meetings, and actually going back to Rudy Lopez was the one that really started this whole thing in earnest, was this business about negative rate scrapers. And I finally figured it out. And what I've done is
I'm going to switch to this one.
Purchased 2 scrapers and made 4 tools out of them. All right, and I don't know if you can see the edge on this. It's cut like sort of like a skew. Okay. All right. That's a little extreme. It's about 45 degrees on either side, and then this one is a round nose that's cut the same way. So depending on which way you want to go, you will grind the tool with that face up. If you want to go the other way, you have to regrind it. All right. So you're always putting the burr in the right, facing in the right direction for the cut that you're going to make. So by just buying 2 pieces of steel, I have 4 tools. Okay. The Wood River 1-inch square scraper is reasonably priced, and if you don't mind grinding a little bit, you can make both of these tools out of that Wood River square nose scraper. And they actually used to be a lot cheaper. They've gone up. But that's But that's some relatively inexpensive steel if you don't mind grinding them. Or of course, you can make your own. Okay. So what I want to show now is how this works. I've done my outside of my vessel, and now I want to refine the shape a little bit. Not a lot, because these aren't intended to remove a lot of wood. But if I want to get rid of tool marks, okay? So I don't know, are we focused on this? And I'm laying it flat, just above center. And I don't know, can you see the little bit of dust coming off? Can you see that? Okay. All right. If I flip it over, nothing. Because it's ground in the way to use the tool for doing the bottom. I'm doing the bottom of the ball. Okay. Now, when it came to doing this part of the vessel, I would have to regrind it so that I could then use this tool in this direction. Okay? And what that does is that gives you a fairly nice surface just prior to begin sanding. Another tool that's handy for that is everybody makes them. This happens to be a Sorby. This is a little one. Here's a big one. Okay, and you can adjust the location, the rotation of the cutter to make the kind of tool you want. I could use this tool here to do the bottom. Okay. For a piece like this, I'd probably rotate this and use the flat edge. You know. Again, this is not to shape the vessel. This is simply to refine the surface, maybe take out a little bit of a bump or so, and also to remove tool marks. Okay. Yes, sir.
Now, the Sorby is not a negative breaker.
Correct. It is not.
Will you get a better surface with the negative breaker with the Sorby, and will you use the Sorby at 45? I guess 3 prep.
Okay. My answer to that is I'm beginning to learn how to use the negative rake scraper so that I do get a better surface than I got from the Sorby tool in the past. I think that with proper use of the negative rake scraper, you can beat the Sorby tool. Now, what those Sorby tools have going for it is it's a multi-purpose thing, and this is actually can be used for some deep, nasty hollowing. Okay, because you can turn this blade around, put this flat on the tool rest, and use that scraper right inside, and you can do some. You can actually remove wood with that. So here's your trade-off. Do I want to buy a Sorby, or a whole bunch of other folks makes these, so just doesn't have to be Sorbies. Do I want to buy that and use it multi-purpose, or do I want to buy a piece of steel and make a negative rake scraper with the understanding that I'm limiting myself simply to cleaning up a surface?
Tom, on the 2 scrapers you made, you want to go the other way. Do you have to go to the grinder, or can you take that burr off with a hone or a diamond card and just raise the burr on the other side?
I guess you could. I've never done it.
I know you'd be limited how many times you could do that.
Yeah, I've never done it because it does on the grinder. It does give you a fairly decent burr.
I'm just saying to save you a trip to the grinder. If all you got to do is one little cut on the other side,
Yeah.
do that.
I've done it over time.
Can you?
Yeah.
Medium, 3rd time,
Yeah.
or a certain number of times.
Yeah.
3 or 4 or 5 times you can find it.
Okay. All right. So we've done the outside. And what we really want to focus on here today is the inside and how do you finish the inside. You all know about tenons, and they need to be flat, and they need to be 90 degrees to the jaws so that they hold properly, right? You all know that stuff. Okay, so now I've got my piece, and one way, this one is very small, so it's not a big deal, but we can certainly get ourselves a little bit of the way ahead of things by drilling a hole. The center, of course, is the hardest part to get out. We know we don't want to go too far. We want to leave some on the bottom. We also know that there's a point here, and so that's what you want to measure to, not the drill bit itself, but the point. I found that if I leave the bottom thick, that gives me a lot of latitude to work on the inside. I don't have to worry that I've drilled too deep and risk making the bottom too thin. I'm going to change drills only because this one has a mark. Right. So you use a Sharpie and kind of mark it for yourself. So we got a lot of the work done there. Okay. I'm not selling tools. I don't want to risk that. I've said this many times, that wood turning is wonderful in that there's no one single way to do anything. This is the way that I do it. And early on in when I started learning how to do this, I bought these tools and I forced myself to learn how to use them. And so that's what I've come to be very comfortable with these. Okay? And what I use are a whole set of different cuts or different profiles, or whatever the right word is, of these various hook tools. Now, if you're good at grinding, you can grind your own. You can certainly use, and I've done it, you could use the John Jordan style tools, you can use the Ellsworth style tools. But one of the things you'll find, and I bet you on Kay's piece there, it was a 3/16 tip cutter. And what happens is that now you're taking 3/16 cuts at a time, and the chances of getting ridges is greater. By using a nice round tool, here's a real big one.
Are those Dale Nish ones, or?
Some are the Dale Nish, and some are the Packard tools. But eventually I'll show you another little trick that you could use. If you've got the handle, you can make one for 13 bucks. And I probably have about a half a dozen different profiles of these for various curves and angles and stuff like that. So the first one I will use is this Wood River or Packard or whatever. What are these called now? Wood River. And I'm at center, a little bit above center. My tool is flat out on the tool rest. My tool is behind the curve, so I don't wind up with this rotational stuff. And I am simply going to get in there